It was a decade ago now when we saw the huge overhaul of HD's Tourers with Project Rushmore. Which was a huge step forward in both design and performance. Well, it seems Harley Davidson are shaking things up again in a big way with their Grand American touring range, in what the motor company are referring to as the dawn of a new era. Okay, that is a bold statement, but most would agree that HD have always celebrated milestones in style, and on the back of the 120th anniversary last year, they're celebrating another historic moment in history, as it's almost 40 years to the day that the legendary Willie G. Davidson penned and produced the first ever street glide. So yes, it is a bold statement, and naturally has the sound of marketing spin to it. But after spending the day riding through the hinterlands on the Gold Coast for the Australian and New Zealand launch a couple of weeks back, it seems there is a lot of truth behind that claim. The launch also included a brief presentation from the HD Australia team, where Harley Davidson Australia and New Zealand Managing Director, Nigel Keogh, shared experiences of first riding HD Tourers through Mexico.
I'll never, ever, ever forget that ride for a number of reasons.
Which then led to riding the Rushmore range in 2014 in Brazil and parts of the US, including Colorado. So he, like many of us, have ridden HD Tourers over the years, and in that time has experienced these changes and upgrades firsthand.
And the evolution from 2010 was incredible.
And it was clear he was excited to see what all the Australian and New Zealand media had to say once we rode the new 2024 models. So on the back of what was an enjoyable launch and ride, we thought we'd organise a comparo to clearly illustrate these extensive changes from last year's models to the new 2024 range. And then we're going to take you out for a cruise to show you just how impressive these new upgrades feel on the open road. Alright, so unlike last year, where we had the various models in the Street Glide and Road Glide range, including the Standard, the Special and the ST models, we now only have the Road Glide and Street Glide, which have both received a major makeover. Of course, you've still got the CVOs and now the Road Glide Limited available here in Australia and New Zealand, but today we're reviewing the Standard models. Having said that, there's not much standard about them. First of all, what's instantly noticeable on both models is the new front fairings, with the Street Glide of course still featuring the iconic Batwing fairing which we first saw back in 1969. But as you can see, it now takes on a new sleeker design with fully integrated LED lighting and a split stream vent opening. The Road Glide's Sharknose fairing has also been redesigned with integrated LED lighting and a new windshield design, along with wind deflectors on the side of the fairings on both models. Now this, in comparison to last year's models, you can see is vastly different. There's no analogue gauges like before, and of course these models are both much more aerodynamic and significantly reduce wind buffeting. And this isn't tested by someone with a big beard blasting along the highway. What? It's not. No, this is an extensive process of running the bike in a digital wind tunnel to achieve accurate feedback, where they were able to decrease buffeting by 60%, huge number. And just one ride along the highway, you'll instantly notice the improvement, making those long distances even more comfortable on your neck and shoulders. It really does make a huge difference. And the larger air vents, which adjust the airflow further, enhance the comfort of the ride and allow you to direct the wind around you in cold weather or back towards you for a little comfort during those hot summer rides. Now, other significant upgrades, which you'll find on both the Street Glide and Road Glide, are the panniers, which have been redesigned with a slightly rounded shape, offering a little extra room, while the new cut-down front fender looks a little sportier than before. They've also increased the comfort of the seat, with the bucket shape slightly larger, while the fuel tank has also been redesigned to sit a little higher and is also lighter. And although the weight reduction of 8.2 kilos on the Street Glide and 7.3 kilos on the Road Glide may not sound extensive for a big touring motorcycle, it feels a lot lighter through the corners, which I think is achieved by reducing some of the weight in the moving parts like the triple trees and the steering head. You'll also notice that the indicators don't look like an afterthought in design anymore, where they used to hang off the front or the back on the older models. Now they are integrated into the bodywork, as you can see behind me, which I think looks a lot classier than last year's model. Even the windshield has been mounted much better, as now you can't see the screws in the bodywork of the fairing like previously. It's more like a floating windshield. The filler cap has also been redesigned as well and now doesn't completely screw off the bike. You'll also notice the hand grips aren't the usual standard rubber ones, but instead now have a sleeker design, while those new contrast cut wheels also look the goods on both models. So comment below and tell us what you think of the redesign. Another noticeable upgrade is the suspension. Now most of you will remember that last year we saw the 47mm inverted front end introduced on the CVOs for the first time, which hasn't come across to the Street Glide or Road Glide for 2024. But the front end has been upgraded with new internals to match the additional travel in the rear shocks, which is significantly larger with a 50% increase to 76mm, up from 54mm on last year's models. The Showa dual outboards emulsion technology shock absorbers with coil springs now replace the previous setup, which only used emulsion technology on one of the two shocks. It also features hydraulic preload adjustment on the rear, along with short-term passenger adjustments. Now I know through personal experience that the suspension is one of the first features of the bike to be upgraded. And I say this as quite a few of my mates who own the big Tourers have swapped out standard suspension for aftermarket items, which is understandable as sometimes the suspension on the new HGs can be a little underwhelming, especially for guys that like to ride hard. Not this time though, and it'll only take one ride to see just how better this suspension setup is. Okay, now we get to the new Milwaukee 8 117 cubic inch engine, which is bigger and has more displacement than last year's model, which was the 114. And you know what they say, there's no replacement for displacement. And one of the biggest additions are the new liquid-cooled cylinder heads, which help reduce the heat radiating up to the rider and passenger. It really does feel cooler too, especially when rolling through city traffic or when you're idling at the lights. Add to that an entirely new cooling system, which not only enhances performance, but also economy, along with a new intake tract, which increases airflow by 40%, all increasing performance, and it is a noticeable improvement. There are 4 ride modes too, with road, sport, rain, and custom, which change the performance and level of safety intervention. Naturally, sport is the highest setting when it comes to power, while in comparison, road has a smoother power delivery along with higher safety intervention levels, like ABS settings, engine braking, traction control, while rain is the most docile in performance along with the highest in safety levels. And finally, you can set up the custom one to suit yourself. It also features all the enhanced rider aids, including cornering electronically linked brakes, cornering ABS, cornering traction control, cornering drag torque slip control, vehicle hold control, which will show you just what a handy feature that is when we take it for a ride, and finally tyre pressure monitoring. So now that we've run you through a lot of the cosmetic and engine upgrades, what you no doubt would have noticed as we've been walking around the 2024 models is that new and impressive 12.3 inch TFT screen, which replaces all the analog instrumentation like on the last year's models, and it's 90% larger diagonally and gives you a 400% increase in screen size. That's right, 400%. It really is an impressive setup. So let's run you through some of the features on this new screen display. Okay, so what we've got here, I mean, this is the old Road Glide, this is the old screen. But, I mean, still a good screen. You've still got your analog dials and everything, which some people like, a mix of both. But what we're going to show you now blows this out of the water. Okay, as you can see, it's a much different looking dash. It's all screen, you haven't got your analog dials or anything. Got a new vent system up here, which we spoke about briefly before, and really does change the airflow through to the rider. But the big thing here is the new TFT display, which has got a lot of features. Naturally, being a touring motorcycle, it features navigation, which we'll show you further on our road test. It also has 3 unique display options, which can be tailored to suit the particular ride you're heading away on. Commuting to work, a weekend blast with your mates, or a trip away. You can change the display of what you're actually looking at. So if you go through here to display, you've got the layout, that was cruise, that you can see at the moment with the gauge on the left, the speedo and everything, and then you've got your information here on the right. But you can also change it to sport. And then what that does is put your speedo in the middle there, gives you a bit more extra room around here. And then the final one that we can choose for is tour. Now, of course, tour to actually bring your map up. Look at the size of your map. So it's huge, and that's what you want as a tourer. You don't want to be trying to look at a small little screen. It's all there, right there in front of you. As you can see, much easier to use, a lot more features. The whole dash has been cleaned up more. Another handy feature to show you, this is in settings again. If we go down to the ride modes, obviously on the switchgear here, you've got the choice between 3, but this is how you get into your custom A mode. So you go over to the pen here, and then basically you don't want to bring any mapping or anything over from the other ones. You can now change your engine mapping, change your braking, change your throttle response, all of that to suit yourself. So once you've set that up, you know what I mean, weather permitting, you can really have a go, and then, yeah, you can switch back into rain mode in a flash. But yeah, it's quite handy to be able to set all that up yourself. It's extremely easy to access the suite of options too, even while you're on the move, and can be used with gloves in rain, hail or shine. It also now uses the Skyline operating system as opposed to the previous Boom Audio GTS system. So there might be a few more features to learn, but once you navigate through the options a few times, it's very user-friendly. It also includes Bluetooth connectivity and Apple CarPlay, which you'll need a headset to operate. You might also notice there's quite a lot more happening with the switchgear now, which may deter some of the purists. And by that I mean the ones that are still being dragged kicking and screaming into the modern world. Sure, some riders may feel overwhelmed with all the electronics, but you've got to make the steps sometimes. I mean, you don't still mow your lawn with a slasher, do you? Sure, you can always keep your rigid shovel in the shed, but why not get something like this for those long road trips? And trust me, it won't take you long to appreciate all these new modern features. Like always, there are quite a few accessories available too, including a new range of seats, but bear in mind, the seats of last year's model won't fit the 2024 models. But depending on your size, there are quite a few options available, like the switchback, which you see here standard on the models, the tall boy, the reach, and the low profile seat. There are also taller and lower windscreens available, and it's worth having a look at the different ones, because it's best to find the perfect one to suit you. I say this because on the street glide when I was riding on the launch, I found that the screen was lying right in my eye line of the road, and this sort of had me raising my head a little, whereas the screen on the road glide seemed to be in a much better position. And if you like a touch of forged carbon accessories, you can get that on the front fender, the seat cowl and the tank console, just to break things up a little. There are also some Screamin' Eagle goodies available from the Harley Davidson accessory range, with the Street Cannon slip-on titanium pipes, the Heavy Breather Extreme Air Cleaner, or the Extreme Wedge Air Cleaner, which both increase airflow up to 22%, and it's just which one you prefer the looks of. And there's also the Stage 2 kit. When it comes to colours, there are some eye-catching colourways in the new range, all available in black and chrome trim. As it was stated by HD at the launch, they've always had their finger on the pulse when it comes to colours, and it's been a competitive advantage for Harley Davidson for quite some time. Now, as we often see, there's a vast range of colours available in most HD's range. But what is interesting to hear is that in some cases, HD plan their colours 5 years in advance. Now, to plan a colour or plan anything 5 years in advance, you need to know what's going on and what's going to be popular down the line. And they always seem to nail it, just like they have done on the latest 2024 range. So the colours available: billiard grey, vivid black, white onyx pearl, which is what you see here on the street glide, whiskey fire, which is what we have here on the road glide and my personal favourite, blue burst, alpine green, atlas silver metallic, and finally shark skin blue. All right, there you have it. We've run you through some of the extensive changes, not only in design, but also in suspension, performance and handling. So now it's time to leave the old models here and head out for a ride. Obviously, we've enjoyed our first test on the Gold Coast, but now we'd like to share the road with you and illustrate just how good HD's new Tourers really are. All right, so we're heading to Springwood. I'm just going to go down through Yarramundi, nice little stretch of a ride that a lot of motorcyclists frequent on the weekend. So yeah, we're going to get up through some twisties, climb the mountain, and sort of see how these big girls handle all different conditions. So come along and enjoy the ride. So there's a guy on a cop bike chasing me.
Where's my donuts?
Krispy Kremes, mate.
Krispy Kreme.
Such a light motorcycle too, look. Tip it around. Just glides, it's smooth, beautiful.
So smooth. For a big bike, it's not a heavy bike, is it?
No, you don't feel any of that weight. Only when you're trying to do U-turns and stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right, you got some training wheels in the pannier, mate. I put them in there for you, on the left side.
100%.
And the big thing about the new bikes is you've got the 117. It's got a lot of punch, and look at the pokey, look at this. Absolutely cranking. But the big thing is the screen, as you can see in front of me. You don't have any of those gauges or anything like that. It is all screen. Really easy to use. You've got the switchgear here. I've just changed it now from cruise to sport. So what you can see now is it's put all your dash and everything in the center, and then basically, as opposed to cruise, where you've got the tacho on the left and the speedo on the right, and then of course then you can go into tour. We'll give you the whole screen. If you go back here, that's the only problem. You do have to set it once you choose it, then set it here on the switchgear, and then you've got to go back to the screen.
Yeah, so I've just changed mine to sport from tour. Yeah, it looks completely different.
Oh, it's huge, isn't it?
I'll see what cruise looks like. Oh yeah, it looks completely different.
There's the horn. Yeah, so as you've seen, Marcel, I mean, you're on the street glide, and these new vents are fantastic. They're actually, as opposed to last year's one, they're actually adjustable.
Yeah.
So as you can see, you deflect the wind straight at you on a hot day. You can close it completely up for those cold days.
Yeah.
And it really does make a huge difference. And only just a short ride, you can feel there's no buffeting like the older models. As they said, they've decreased that by 60%, which is huge, and you can feel it.
And you've even got the little flaps down the corner, eh?
Yeah, so they're really good for deflecting wind as well. I mean, they're a little bit bigger on the road glide, but they're just mounted to the side here. You can shut them off, stop all the wind. Now compared to the 114, what you're getting out of the 117, you're getting 9% more displacement and about 19% more torque, which is a huge, huge increase. There's been an upgrade in the suspension, so we'll just rip around here and find a few rough potholes, because here we go, right in the middle. Look at this. Look at that, see? Over a big ridge in the road, and you can hardly even feel it. It tips into the corners beautifully. Look at that. This handle's fantastic. But yeah, I mean, from the suspension to the motor, all the upgrades, and you can feel how just such an improvement from the Rushmore models. There's no doubt about it.
Suspension is unreal, eh? Like, I was hitting a whole bunch of potholes and ridges in the road, couldn't feel a thing.
We got to realise, man, America compared to Australia, their roads are so different. So I mean, you get a suspension set up there for America, and you come over here,
Yeah.
now the bikes nearly fall apart. Not Harleys, I just mean like our roads compared to the roads over there. So yeah, I mean, look at that. You can really test it out in Australia, that's for sure. So you can really feel that power. Love the power to burn, man. Got it in sport mode. In a moment I'll show you all the different stuff we can do with the different ride modes. As you said, you know, we've got 4 ride modes. At the moment I've got it in sport, and she's a prowler. Just having a nice ride through the back of Yarramundi. We're going to experience a few twists and corners. And as I said, what you will notice straight away is that reduction in weight. And as I said, it doesn't sound like a lot. You know, 7 odd kilos for the street glide and a bit over 8 kilos for the road glide, but it really does make a difference. You can feel it through the corners, and there's even a little bit more ground clearance. So yeah, as I said, this has been a total redesign, from, you know, the ergonomics, from the actual aesthetics of the bike, all the way through to the motor, the suspension. It is just like a whole new motorcycle. Just like back in 2014, 10 years ago, with the Rushmore, that was revolutionary. Well, this is even bigger. Trust me, one ride on these and you're going to wish you didn't buy a Rushmore. All right, mate, so we've had a great ride. We're up the top of the Yarramundi Regional Park overlooking Windsor and the surrounds. And like I said, this is a really good ride for weekends. A lot of motorcyclists frequent it. Get a lot of sports bikes up here. But what we're riding today, as you know, are these 2 beautiful new Tourers. So what do you think so far, Marcel?
Beautiful. I definitely, as I said in the second opinion in the feature, the mag, definitely want to consider upgrading the lowrider ST.
And it's amazing, like I said, from front to back, from design, ergonomics, the motor, suspension, it's just a whole new bike.
It's a whole new bike. It's so smooth. Coming up the windies up here, it's so easy to just turn it. You know, it's a complete hairpin.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's nothing. It just feels like it's gliding, like you're ice skating.
100%.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do now, we're going to jump back on, we're going to swap bikes. You're going to get on the road glide, I'll get on the street glide.
Yep.
Yeah. And then what we will try out now is the different ride modes. Like I said, you know, you've got your road, you've got your sport, you've got your rain, and then your custom, and they really do change the characteristics and the attitude of the motorcycle quite significantly. So what we'll do is we'll just scroll through and show the difference, and yeah, and we'll enjoy another afternoon of riding, mate. Okay, so as you can see now, I've swapped motorcycles. I'm on the Street Glide. It's got that iconic Batwing fairing at the front. It's a lot, it feels a lot more compact than the Road Glide. Obviously the Road Glide bars are that slightly higher and so forth. Yeah, and the front end sort of feels a bit more compact, but it's still that massive, great screen. We've got it in cruise at the moment. So the good thing is here, as you can see at the front here, we can change ride modes on the run. So now I've got into rain mode, shut it off. Now in rain mode, see, it's not as powerful. Power delivery is cut down, and then all the safety settings will be at their highest. It's that simple, see? On the run, change it into road, shut off the throttle, now we're in road. So what road is, obviously power delivery is much more than rain, and you've got higher settings than sport. But of course sport is where you've got the ultimate in power delivery, and everything's sort of cut back a little, like traction control and the settings. But then of course you can set it in the final mode, so that's sport, drop it into sport. And then there's also a fourth mode which is custom, and with custom you can set all the parameters to suit you, so you can change the engine braking more or less, you know, you can change the intervention of the traction control. So really, I mean, once you find the perfect setting the way you like to ride your big tourer, put your custom mode in, and then it's always set, ready to go for you. Very, very handy feature. Yeah, I mean, I've been riding tourers for a good 20, 25 years, different ones, you know what I mean, and I don't know, when Harley, back in the day, their frames used to feel a lot stiff, and they felt quite stiff and tie themselves into knots, they'd wallow around the corners. Not anymore. So yeah, we're just sitting at the lights, and Marcel, you can't feel that heat radiating from the engine, eh?
Nothing at all, it's so cool.
It's so much better, yeah. Like I said, on the old models, it just was so hot, just so much heat being radiated up between you and the passenger.
I just activated cruise control because we got this nice easy straight. It's just beautiful.
I want to also show you the hill start, which I'll do a bit later. It's another really handy feature where, like being such a big motorcycle, if you're sitting on a hill, some people might try, you know, accidentally ride the clutch a little. You can just bang the hill control hold on, and then once you open the throttle, just releases the brakes and away it goes. See, although I'm not on a hill, I've put it on hill control, so therefore look, no brakes, you can't move the bike forward or back, and then as soon as you accelerate, it comes off. It's got a copper in behind us, join us between me and Marcel. No doubt he's just checking out the new 2024 models. Wow, man, I wish I was on one of them, not a Yamaha. Now, a really good new feature, Marcel, as we've been told, is Apple CarPlay. At the end of the day, it's got Bluetooth connectivity, but Apple CarPlay is much better. I mean, obviously it mirrors your phone, you've got your maps, you've got your music, you've got your contacts and everything.
And you're just used to what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's the same as what's on your phone.
Yep.
Same as what's on your iPad.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like a mini iPad.
100%, yeah. And like I said, it's got the Bluetooth, it's also, you can connect it as well. Yeah. But all you need is a headset.
Yep.
Preferably a Harley Davidson one, just because they're being matched to them and so forth. Yeah. But yeah, you've got a headset, you've got Apple CarPlay, and
it looks so good though. So you tackle on your left.
Yeah.
The nav comes up well on the right. You've got your music, your Apple Maps, your phone.
Oh, it's great.
It's pretty easy to use, eh? It's going.
But my only downfall is it should be called Apple Bike Play, to be honest. Yeah. Especially because there's nothing to car about this. I hate cars.
It's as comfortable as a car.
There you go, I hate cars. Motorcycles for me any day, brother. Yeah, oh, yeah, there's all my phone calls. I can even ring me mum. Okay, what a day. We've had a great day riding. And now we've stopped at the iconic little town of Windsor. So, I mean, I don't know whether you've been to Windsor before, but they've got a great pie shop, a great seafood shop. And there's a great place down the road, the Watchmaker's Garage, which I strongly suggest you drop into if you're ever up this way. It's got a lot of Harley Davidson memorabilia. It's a great little spot. But for now, we're going to wash the brilliant day's ride off with a beer at the oldest pub in Australia, the Macquarie Arms. But for us, it's not about visiting Windsor. Today was all about the ride on the road glide and the street glide. So, like we always say, don't just take our word for it. Get on down to your local authorised Harley Davidson dealer, take one for a burn, because you're going to be pleasantly surprised.